WoW Classic Exploration Part 14, Stonetalon Peak. To get into the inaccessible areas up to the northwestern side of Stonetalon Peak, we're going to start off at the Talon Den. The normal trick here is we're going to be using some clever routing and jumping on these mountain edges to get up over the top of that little cave entrance and use some clever cliff jumping from there. But first, caution! Res sickness is a thing. If you die off in the middle of nowhere in some of these weird places, the game won't know what to do. It'll put your ghost in Dunmoreau or the Barrens, and you might not be able to get back, and you'll have to accept a spirit res and all the repair costs that go with that. Be careful and don't fall. Now with that out of the way, what we're going to basically do is take our mount, and I strongly recommend an epic mount for this, and work our way up these little mountain paths here. And we're going to want to get down onto the roof of the entrance to the Talon Den. Just like that. And from here, we're going to do a little jumping over these diagonal corners, using the little cosmetic structure as a bridge, and get up over here. And once you've gotten to this point, most of the hard work is essentially already done. We're going to zip up behind the little tree. There's a little couple little spots where we're doing some crevice jumping there. And then we're going to get up into the unfinished terrain. And it's as easy as that. Now, there's a lot of jagged unfinished terrain up in this zone. We're going to go through a few chunks of it, and I'm going to speed up some of the clips here, just running through nothing. There are a few areas here that have some features in them that are interesting. There are spots that you can see as you're flying past on Flight Masters. But generally speaking, the majority of this area is all just this unfinished, jagged cliff terrain, and do not fall. So, as with a lot of the other areas, there are these weird, like, rough-edged mountain passes. There are a lot of spots in here where, if you're not careful, in addition to falling and dying, you can slip down into this, some of the little crevices and get stuck and have to hearth out. So when you're navigating these areas, you know, I always suggest try and do it cautiously. Now we're going to speed up the footage a little bit, and you can check out what I'm doing, going around sort of the northeastern edge of this area to safely get down into that little northern pass. This is one of the areas that you get to fly through, so we'll take a look at that. And as you can see, if you continue up to the northern part of this area, you can actually drop down into the ocean off the coast of Ashenvale. Now, once we get down into the canyon here, we're going to get to see a little bit of terrain. Not a lot, but there are a few structures that we can check out. This area is normally visible very briefly from a couple of different flight paths as you're flying through. So, you know, there's something to look at, but it's still essentially unfinished. There's a little cave off to the side there. You can fish in this water, by the way. There's really nothing interesting. We've got some Elven or maybe Naga ruins here. And down below, when we get there, there's an unfinished troll hut with nothing that's interactable, no NPCs or anything, and some more Naga ruins. This area, I think Blizzard just forgot to put NPCs here, considering that they populated like the Shatterspear village with NPCs. I think they just forgot. You know, that's understandable. One of the interesting things about this area off on the western end of Stonetalon Peak. Before Cataclysm, there were a lot of theories about what was going to be here. Some people theorized that this area, was going to be like a questing hub for a Goblin lumber camp or something, based on what we're going to see in a few minutes. And there was even a theory that persisted for a while that there was like a Pandaren colony or something off in these mountains, which is kind of wacky, but that's what people thought for a while. And we're going to cut ahead a little bit. Once you get into this area, you're basically stuck and you have to hearth out. So we're going to get back to an area near the start of this exploration above the Talon Den and take it from there. To get to the next area, you're going to have to either bubble jump or slow fall or something off of this enormous cliff, and as you can see, it is quite a drop. This is going to bring us down into a large pit of unfinished terrain, and I'm going to speed up the footage a little bit. We're going to be basically trotting along through nothing. There's a lot of nothing to see here, just, unfinished mountains. But we can eventually get to a goblin mining village, which has a few interesting things to check out. Once we get into this abandoned Goblin Camp, there are a few things to see. We've got that abandoned shredder. There's a little abandoned, logging outpost, the lumber mill there. There's some mining equipment. Over on the left, we've got a cave that, goes to nothing. I think that this is one of the areas, similar to those ruins we saw a few minutes ago, where Blizzard just forgot to populate some NPCs, just as, ambience, essentially like critters. You do get to see this area a couple of times from the air as you're flying through on flight points, but players are never intended to actually be here. So the terrain is still all rough and unfinished. There are some goblin teleporters up on the side of the mountain that don't work. None of the equipment is interactable. The terrain here is fairly difficult to traverse. Again, you're not intended to ever actually get here. And aside from that, there isn't a whole lot else to see in the area, to the west of Stonetalon Peak. At this point, we're also pretty far south. You can go further south, all the way down into the mountains above Desolus, and we're going to show some of that. So I'm going to speed up the exploration footage at this point. So enjoy the exploration, and thank you for watching.